Hello, my name is Mansoor, and in this video I'm going to show you a step-by-step tutorial on how to create a really powerful game. And this game is going to be a zombie survival game, and you want to stick around until the end because we're going to deploy our game to the internet so then anyone will be able to play your game. We're going to do everything in 3 simple steps. First, plan out your game with Grok 3 using the deep search and think model. Second step, I'm going to show you the best way to work with Grok 3 to create a really cool looking game. And then the final step, like we said, we're going to deploy everything to the web, so then you're going to have a link that you can share to your friends or the entire world. So here's the game that we're going to be creating today. We have our player over here that's trying to run away from the zombies, and we have zombies coming after him. As the player kills zombies, he's getting more and more coins, and with these coins, when the wave ends, he's going to see a shop where he can upgrade his damage, his attack speed, buy new weapons, and each wave gets harder and harder as you progress inside the game. So if you want to try out this game for yourself, click the link in the description where you could try this game for free. And also I made a free PDF available where you could see how I created this entire game step by step using Grok 3. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is open your web browser and then go and type grok.com. So when you're in grok.com, you want to sign in. As you can see, I'm signed up. Good afternoon, Mansoor Codes. So what you want to do right now is describe the game that you want to create. So in our case, we want to create a zombie survival game. Okay, so I finished writing my initial plan. So basically what we initially said, I want a zombie survival game. It's a game where a player survives waves of zombies and then kills zombies. When he kills zombies, he gets coins where he could buy upgrades and new weapons after each wave. Each wave gets harder and harder. The game needs to feel balanced. The camera will be a top view of the map where the player can move around, aim, and shoot zombies. I also added obstacles. Over here, I'm basically saying that essentially it's a very popular type of game that is available online. It's not a new type of game that I'm trying to recreate. And I also said if there's any features that I'm missing, think about it and add those features inside my game. And over here, very important, I'm saying that everything needs to be built in one HTML file. I don't want any extra dependencies. I don't want to be installing any NPM packages or any extra libraries. I want everything to be built in one HTML file where I could just open it and everything should work perfectly without any problems. And over here to end off, I'm saying for everything that I described, just create me a very detailed plan. I don't want any code right now. I just want a very detailed plan where I could take this plan and then feed it into an AI model so the AI model can create me the actual code. And what you want to do is click the deep search button over here so it creates the plan for you, and make sure that you select Grok 3 and you click the send button. Now Grok is actually going to think about all the different features that you need inside the game, all the different upgrades, what type of game you have, the enemies, the player, the movements, everything will be described in this detailed plan. So we're going to wait for it to finish. It's going to take some time to process everything. Okay, cool. So it looks like Grok just finished its deep search and outputted the entire plan for my game. So what you want to do is actually copy paste everything. So copy paste every single text that it created for you inside your clipboard. So now what you want to write is something like this. Now that you have your plan, you want to write, here is my plan for my game. I want you to break everything into a list of different tasks. The task should be sequential. Break them into a list of around 5 tasks to create the entire game. Now you want to paste your entire plan inside the prompt. And then what you want to do is deselect the deep search button and now select the think button, because now we don't need Grok to think about this deeply as we did initially, because we already have a very detailed plan. Now we want a think model for it to actually think about our plan and then break them into different lists of tasks so they can tackle them one by one. And over here, it's looking at our plan and it's making sure that it can divide all the work into a list of different tasks. Okay, so it looks like it's outputting something. Okay, cool. So we have 5 different tasks to create this game. So first one is a lot of setting up. Second is implement zombies. Third is adding shooting. 4 is creating the shop system and the upgrade system. And 5th is actually polishing the UI, like creating the player health, the coin count, the wave number. So a lot of polishing for the 5th step. Okay, now the next step is to go inside Finder or Folders inside Window and then find somewhere where you want to save your files. So for my case, I have a games folder, and then over here inside my games folder, I'm going to create a new folder specifically for this game. And as you can see, I already have a zombie game folder from the example that I showed you, but I'm recreating this game. So I'm going to create a new folder and call it Zombie Game 2. Just to make sure that it's not the folder from before. So now that you have this new folder, if you click inside, obviously you don't have any files, but over here now we're gonna have to create a new file. And for that, we're gonna have to use a coding IDE. So I like to use Cursor personally because it has all the AI stuff, so I can build any sort of apps with AI, but you could use anything else like Visual Studio Code, Windsurf, anything for you to create code. So if you don't have anything, what you can do is just click on your web browser and then type cursor.com. Just click the download button and it'll be just a very simple setup to get your coding IDE. Then when you open Cursor, now what you want to do is open the folder you just created. So in my case, I created it into games, into Zombie Game 2. Okay, cool. So you just open your folder. What you want to do now is just click this button over here, new file, and type index.html. So you have to make sure to write index.html because when we're going to deploy this website, all the hosting providers are looking for the index.html file as the starting file. So over here, you don't have to worry about writing anything. Now that you have your new file created, let's go back into grok.com. Okay, now that we're back into Grok, remember that we're going to create a game and we asked Grok to divide all the work into a list of different tasks. So what we want to do now is unselect the think button because we don't need to think that hard anymore. What we want to do is start with the first task. So as we can see, the first task is saying set up basic game structure and player movement. So what we want to do with Grok is say, hey, I want you to implement the first task. So when nothing's selected, we just want it to be Grok 3 and then send it. It looks like it finished generating all the code and then it described everything that it created now. So how to use it, you want to copy this code into an HTML file and then it's describing exactly the code it created. So what you want to do now after everything is finished is go on top over here and copy the code and then go inside your Cursor IDE and paste in everything. Make sure to save it and then open Finder and then click index.html. And then as you can see, without writing any single line of code, now we have something created for us on the screen. So it's saying zombie survival game, press any key to start. So let me try. Okay, great. So as I'm moving my keys, WASD, the player is responding correctly. Okay, great. So task 1 looks like it finished. So now what we want to do is go and implement task 2. So implement zombie spawning and basic interactions. Okay, great. Everything works for task 1. Now implement task 2 and then send that. And this is a very useful way of working with AI because if you break your work into a list of different tasks, now you're not going to overload the AI and you're not going to make its job harder. It's going to know exactly what it needs to focus on so that it could produce the best quality code for that specific task. So when you're tackling the next task, it could focus all of its energy onto that one task. So for task 2, for example, now it added a lot more code into our single HTML file. Again, it's describing exactly what it has done with this new HTML file, but we don't have to read it. What we want to do is copy this file again. If you click this copy button over here and then go inside Cursor and then do Command A and then do Command V again and then paste and everything. As we can see, we had 113 lines of code, but now with the new code, we have 243 lines of code. So just with task 2, our AI added a lot more code. So now after saving, you want to open your file back again. Zombie survival game, press any key to start. Okay, cool. As you can see, the blue circle is our player and the red circles are the zombies. So don't worry about the shapes for now. We're going to fix everything into later steps. Okay, so now let's go and give the feedback to Grok. Great, everything works. Now tackle task 3. So you want to work like this with AI for every single task, and if there's anything wrong with the specific task, don't be afraid to tell AI and give your feedback like, hey, this thing is not working. So before you move on into the next task, the AI can write the best code for the current task that you're on. Okay, great. So task 3 just finished, and again, it just explained everything it has done. We want to copy this code and then go back into Cursor, paste in this new code, And as you can see, it added almost 100 more lines of code. If we save this and then go back into our Finder, open index.html, if we press any keys, we can still move around. But now what we can do is actually shoot, and that's pretty cool. Without writing any single line of code, we have a nice little game for ourselves right now. So if I kill this last zombie, okay, nothing happens. I killed all the zombies, but the wave did not finish. But that's expected for this task because we have a lot more tasks to take care of. We just implemented task 3. So if we go all the way back, we have what we just did is adding shooting mechanics and wave system. So what we want to work on now is task 4, where we have to develop the store system and the upgrades. So let's go back all the way down. Now ask Grok, great, everything is working. Now implement the next task. And now again, you just have to wait for Grok to process everything and to generate the actual code. And if we scroll down, we can see that it's still generating the code. Okay, cool. So it looks like Grok finished everything. Now, if we scroll on top, we see this new piece of code. And again, it's all in one index.html file, so you don't have to worry about copying code into different files. So now you want to go back inside cursor after copying and then paste in the new code. And again, it added new lines of code. If you save everything and then go back into opening the file, if you press something, we see the enemies back again. Let's shoot them. Let's try to finish this wave. Okay, so I killed all the enemies, but the wave did not finish and I'm not seeing any upgrades or any shops. So what you want to do now in this case is actually go inside Grok and tell Grok that, hey, you implement this task, but it's not what I expected. I'm not seeing a shop system. I'm not seeing the waves. So essentially, before moving into the next task, you wanted to perfect the current task that you're on. I think we're on task 4. So we're going to ask Grok to make sure that everything on task 4 is working because I killed all the zombies and now I cannot move forward into the next wave. And I don't see any shop system where I could upgrade my character. Hey, I implemented the code, but now when I kill all the zombies, I do not see a store system and I cannot move into the next wave. Focus on fixing everything properly. Don't rush your implementation. Send that to Grok and now Grok will try to fix your game for you. Okay, cool. So it looks like Grok finished everything. Now we're gonna go back up and then copy your code, go back into cursor, paste everything. Okay, now that the code is copied, now let's see if everything is working. Open index.html and then see if after killing all the zombies, we're gonna see if we can see the wave finishing. Okay, cool. Wave 1 complete. Now all the coins that I have, and I can see all the upgrades that I can buy using my coins. So for this, let's go with 10% damage with 60 coins that I have. Let's get 2 of them. So if I get 1, I can get another. Okay, and the other ones are disabled. Let's click continue. Now let's kill the zombies and see if I could finish wave 2. Okay, awesome. So everything is working for task 4. Wave 2 is complete. Now I have 70 coins. Now let's go back into Grok and say, great. Now everything is fixed. Implement the next task. So I think this is task 5. This is going to be the final task. Yep, the final task, task 5, create user interface and embed assets. Okay, great. So now let's go and copy everything and paste it inside cursor and then run our file. Okay, we don't see anything right now. I think I know the issue because in task 5, what it did is actually trying to load assets inside our game. So essentially it's trying to replace these blue circle and the red circles with actual images, and it's trying to add sound effects inside the game. So what we can tell Grok is, can you remove the assets inside the code? We can take care of that as the next task. For now, just give me everything without the assets. Okay, nice. Now let's copy this code, go back inside cursor, paste everything. Let's try to run the game now. Okay, cool. So the base of our game, it looks like it's working really well. So the next step is to make sure that we're adding the assets that we removed in task 5. So what I mean by that is to replace the blue circle and the red circles by actual characters inside the game, like I showed you in the example. Okay, so what we want to do is go inside your folder, inside your Finder, where you have your index.html. So what you want to add is the images that represents your player or your zombies. So what you can do in this case is go inside Google, and what you can find find is the assets you need. What you could write is top-down view player survival PNG, something like that. And you can find all of these things. So over here, you're going to have a player.png that's perfect for the sort of game that we want. And you could write the same thing for top-down view player survival PNG, just replace player by zombie. And over here, you have your zombie. So you could take this one or that one, whichever you like. So I already did this work. So I chose 2 assets for the player and the zombie. So I'm just going to copy these 2 and then paste it in this new folder. And don't worry about the assets. I'm going to link them all in the description where you could go and download them easily. So now that we have player and zombie.png, what we want to do is go back to Grok and tell it, hey, I have the assets now. Okay, so now I want to implement the assets for the player and the zombies. For my player, the asset is named player.png. So you want to write the exact name that is inside the folder, player.png. And then you want to explain Grok that the player.png file is exactly in the same place that you have your index.html file. And the asset is in the same folder as index.html. For the zombies asset, the name is zombie.png. Add these assets inside the game and replace the circles by their appropriate assets. You want to send this, and now we're going to see what Grok cooks for us. Okay, nice. Now let's copy the code and see if we have the new images inside our game. Now paste everything, run your game. Okay, we have the assets, but something is looking weird. It looks like all the assets are just fixed and they don't feel natural. So what we want is, as the user is aiming, the image is following along the aim, and the zombie's direction is also changing based on where the player is. But right now everything is static. But no worries, let's just go ask Grok to fix this. Okay, great. But now I want you to change the direction of the player based on the position of its aim. I want you to do the same thing for the zombies, but their direction should be based on the position of the player. And one extra thing that we have to describe is, what is the starting position? So if you look at our 2 images, we have the zombie over here, its aim is directly on the right, and the player position is the same thing. Its position is starting on the right. So we could add this extra detail for Grok to know where the position is actually starting. The front of their aim is looking at the right side of the screen. You have to move this aim and the orientation of the image based on what I described. Now let's see if we can get the right orientations for our player and the zombies. Okay, cool. So now it's describing all the math and everything is doing to change the orientation. We don't need to know exactly what it's doing. So we want to copy this code and paste it inside Cursor or any coding IDE. Paste it in. We see we had a couple of new lines of code. Let's try the game again. Okay, cool. So as I'm rotating my cursor, now the player is looking at the right direction. If my cursor is here, then the player is looking directly at the cursor. And the zombies are following exactly the player. As you can see, the orientation is perfect. As the player is moving, it's turning its body towards the player. Now let's finish this round and see the next round. Yep. The zombies are all looking at the player and turning their bodies exactly where the player is, and my player is following exactly where my cursor is. Okay, nice. So we have a pretty nice looking game now where everything is working pretty nicely. We have our images, we have our health, we have our coins, we have waves, we have upgrades. One final touch to make this game nice is to actually add sound effects. And for the sound effects, you could find the exact sound effects that you want. But I compiled a small list of sound effects for this game, where I'm also going to link them in the description. So what I'm going to do is go inside my old zombie game folder and copy all the sound effects and paste them inside my new folder. Again, you want to make sure that everything that you're pasting is inside the folder where you have your index.html file. So we have 4 new files, 4 sound effects. One is the sound effect for shooting, one is the sound effect when a wave is cleared, the other one is when a zombie dies, and the other one is just a normal zombie sound. So with these over here, let me just take a screenshot of them. If I paste them all over here, I don't want to type everything, so I think just taking a screenshot of the file names should be easier. I'm gonna paste them inside Grok, and now I'm gonna say, based on the file names from the screenshot, I have provided sound effects when the player shoots, the player kills a zombie, when a wave is cleared, and a normal sound effect for zombies when they are alive. Add all these sound effects inside the game. Great. Now let's send this to Grok, and hopefully it will match all the sound effects with the right scenario. Okay, so let's copy the code and see if we have sound effects inside the game. Let's copy everything into cursor. We have some new lines of code. Now let's open the game. Now let's open index.html and see if we can hear the sound effects. As I'm shooting, cool, I can hear the sound effect for shooting. If I kill the zombie, I can hear the sound effect when they die. And as the wave clears, I just heard the sound effect for that. Let's try again as I'm shooting. Again, all the sound effects are working. Again, I'm hearing the sound effect when a wave clears. Okay, so it looks like everything is working. What I want now is to change the background color of the game because it's hard to see the player right now and even the zombies. So what I'll do is ask Grok to change the background color to white and the text over here to black. I think I'm still hearing the zombie. Let me go and close that. Okay, so let's copy the code and see if our background is white now. Everything is saved. Open index.html, press any key to start. Nice. So it's pretty much exactly like the example that I showed in the beginning. Okay, cool. So we have a pretty nice looking game. So what you want to do now is continue working on your game. You can add new monsters, you can add new waves, new weapons, new upgrades, everything that you want. It's just a matter of you going into Grok, writing your prompts and working with Grok to add all of these additional features. So what I'm going to do now is to show you how to deploy your app to the web, because right now you can only run your game inside this computer that you're on right now, locally on your laptop, on your computer. But what you want to do is deploy this to the web so that you can send this to your friends or play this without worrying about opening index.html and messing with files. You're going to be able to open a link and you're going to have your game ready for you to be played at any time. So the next step you want to do is actually go and install the GitHub client. So go on Google and search GitHub client, go on their official website. You will need a GitHub account. So first of all, create a GitHub account. This is my GitHub account over here, and then download the GitHub client, set up everything, sign in into GitHub, and then you will have something like this. Let me open it from my side. So you'll have the GitHub client over here. So what you want to do is click this arrow over here. You want to drop down and click the add button over here. And then you want to click create a new repository. Now over here it's asking for a repository name. Let's call it Zombie Game Final, and Zombie Game Final will be created inside our games folder. So you want to make sure that you're not clicking the Zombie Game 2 folder. That's the new folder that we created for index.html file. So you want to click the upper directory, which was games for me, and you want to open that. So over here it's saying that this will be created inside the games folder and you will have a new folder called Zombie Game Final. And I will tell you the reason why this is creating a new folder. So if we initialize this, we create repository. So now our GitHub client is targeting the Zombie Game Final folder. So what you want to do is go inside your Finder and then find where everything is saved. So remember we had the Zombie Game 2 folder that we created that has everything inside, index.html, all the images for characters, zombies, and all the sound effects. What you want to do is copy everything and paste it inside Zombie Game Final. And the reason why I'm doing this is because Zombie Game 2 was not initialized with Git, We should have done that at first, but it's okay. It's a very small project, so copy pasting everything shouldn't be a problem. And if you're familiar with the command line, you could have done everything inside Zombie Game 2, but I'm just trying to make the process easier for everyone. So now that Zombie Game Final has all the files, you want to go back inside your Git client, and now you're going to see every single file ready to be committed to GitHub. So you want to go over here on this text box over here and just write something, initial commit, then click commit to main, and then click this button over here, publish to repository. Make sure everything is good. If you want, you could add a description. You could say game made with Grok 3 using Mansoor codes tutorial. And this is totally optional. You could write whatever you want and then click publish repository. So without going into too much detail, Git and GitHub is basically a way to save your code as a developer. Every single time that you make a change on a file, then there is a history of all the file changes, and then you can go back and then revert changes. All that to say, it's a very good tool for developers to keep track of their changes inside their project. Now that you have your game pushed inside GitHub, you can close down GitHub client. Now that we have our game inside our GitHub, we want to go inside versal.com where we can actually push our website to the internet. So over here, you can either sign up or log in. In my case, I'm going to log in, and you want to continue with GitHub. If you don't have an account, make sure to click this don't have an account button, sign up, and then you're going to click I'm working on a personal project, just write your name, and then you want to make sure to continue with GitHub. Whether you're signing in or signing up, you want to continue with GitHub. So I'm going to continue with GitHub. And then I just signed in. So after signing in, you're going to see your Versal dashboard, and you're going to see this white button over here saying add new. If you click this button, click add new project. Click this one. And because you signed in with GitHub, you're going to see all of your projects inside GitHub. And then the first one in the list should be the one that you just worked on, Zombie Game Final. So if you click import, and then you could change the project name, but we're going to keep it as this. For the framework, just keep it as other because we do not have a framework for this project. And then you don't want to change anything. What you want to do is just click the deploy button over here. Cool. After clicking the deploy button, now everything looks like it's working. So if you want to try out your game, you just click the website over here, and then it's going to open it on a new window. And then as you can see, I can play my game online without having to open the index.html file. And if I look at the URL, Versal created a URL for me that I could just copy and share it with everyone that I know. So let's close this down and try to open it again. If I open my URL, it goes straight into my game and I can start playing my games without any issues. So here you have it. You built a fully working app using Grok 3, using very simple technologies, nothing too fancy, nothing too hard. And now you have your app running on the web with a fully dedicated URL that you could share with everyone. I hope you learned something from this video. I hope you liked it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.